Hello, I'm the In-Depth Detective. Welcome to my new office. I understand that this cosplay needs a bit of work. I get that. This is the show where I analyze, or dive deep, or dive in depth, whatever. We discover, whatever. The biggest mysteries, controversies, flops, whatever the case may be for your favorite movies, games, shows, whatever the case may be. It's a lot in this show, if that made sense. Today, on the revamped In-Depth Detective, we look at what has recently become the biggest movie franchise in history. Recently. Probably. That being the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And it's got a decent track record. All of its worst movies have ranged from mediocre to but not only does it have a very good track record when it comes to just the quality of the movies, but it also has a very good track record of having something announced and then having it come to fruition. We're looking at one of the few rare cases where that wasn't true. Before clicking on this video, did you remember Inhumans? Did you even know about Inhumans? Don't lie to me. I'm onto you. And you probably didn't. Well, that's what we're looking at today. The one MCU movie that never was, but it turned into a show. How good was that show? I think you know the answer. Anyways, let's get started. But before we do that, you know what to do. Be sure to hit the bell and leave a comment, or I'll crack your case. You figure out what that means. It was October of 2014. Phase 2 of the MCU wasn't even done, but we got the MCU's Phase 3 slate of films all announced. And this was where we got the announcements of films like Captain America Civil War, Infinity War, Endgame, which at the time was just Infinity War Part 2, as well as other films like Black Panther, Doctor Strange, and Captain Marvel, introducing them into the MCU, along with all these films that were announced. There was also Inhumans, scheduled to come out in November of 2018, the same year as Infinity War and Black Panther and Ant-Man and the Wasp, which all did great at the box office. But Inhumans obviously was supposed to come out that same year. Inhumans was going to be the next best thing to having the X-Men in the MCU. Because at the time it was announced, it was quite clear that the X-Men were never joining the MCU. Now, of course, Disney has bought Fox, so things are different now, but you know what I mean. However, let's rewind a bit. In April of 2016, Marvel strangely pulled Inhumans from their Phase 3 slate. In relation to the removal of Inhumans from their Phase 3 schedule, Kevin Feige actually released a statement saying this: "Since we made our initial Phase 3 announcement, we added Spider-Man, which is a big joyous coup for us. We added Ant-Man and the Wasp, which was a big fun continuation of that story for us. Walt Disney Company has announced Indiana Jones for right around the same time, so I think it will shuffle off the current date that it's on right now. How far down it shuffles, I'm not sure yet." So from this statement, it seemed like Inhumans was taken off the Phase 3 release schedule just because Disney didn't really want to compete with themselves. But that's normal, you know. You don't want all your shit coming out like at once, because then you end up competing with yourself, and that's never good. Competition is good, but competition amongst yourself isn't. But little did we know. At this point, it wasn't officially canceled as a movie, Going off of what the statement said, Inhumans seemed to just be delayed. But in November of that same year, Kevin Feige released another statement saying, "I think Inhumans will happen for sure. I don't know when. I think it's happening on television. And I think as we get into Phase 4, as I've always said, it could happen as a movie. It would be super cool." So at this point, we were given an idea as to what might be happening with Inhumans. Sure, it can still be happening as a movie, but maybe it can happen as a series. After all, Marvel had Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. on ABC, and the Inhumans even appeared on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. once, so if it was gonna be a series, there was a home for it. Not to mention, at the time, they were doing very well on Netflix with Daredevil and Jessica Jones, so as a series, maybe it could have worked, but strange how they would cancel it as a movie. 2 months after Feige's statement on Inhumans maybe being a series, they announced that Scott Buck was hired as the showrunner for Inhumans and subsequently announced Inhumans as a series. Scott Buck had previously directed another Marvel show with Iron Fist, albeit on Netflix, and wrote other popular shows like Dexter and Everybody Loves Raymond. Here's the thing though, Scott Buck was the showrunner for the first season of Iron Fist and the final season of Dexter, which are most commonly agreed, unanimous, that they aren't really that good. Even the most diehard of Dexter fans will tell you that the final season was very weak. And even people that love the Netflix Marvel shows will tell you that the first season of Iron Fist, some hated it more than others, but most of them will tell you it's not as good as, Jessica Jones or Daredevil or even Luke Cage. So it raised a little bit of a red flag to have Scott Buck, someone with a spotty track record, helming an Inhumans show. But surely they haven't started filming it yet, right? They didn't rush it into production or anything. After all, they did just announce that it was happening as a series. And sure, they figured these things out, like, a lot beforehand, before announcing them. But, like, I don't know, this just seemed weird. So surely, like, they don't start producing it, they don't start production for this show yet, right? Yeah, they did. It wasn't even 5 months since Scott Buck was announced as the showrunner, where they were already filming the show, and within 10 months, they were ready to premiere it. Little side note, when Inhumans was ready to premiere, I had no idea about it at all until I saw an ad play before a YouTube video like a month, maybe even less, before it premiered. Not only that, I feel very confident in saying that there was little to no buzz around Inhumans at all, so it didn't seem like Marvel wanted to advertise it too much. That's very assuring, isn't it? But weirdly enough, the first 2 episodes were actually edited together and actually premiered in IMAX theaters. But after only a 2-week long run, the premiere did not do very well. It only grossed $3.5 million at the box office, which I know that sounds like a lot of money for like a smaller budget thing, but this is a Marvel property. Those usually do way better than this. That is like embarrassing for them. And that's worldwide, by the way. If I'm being honest, I'm not quite sure why they put these first 2 episodes in IMAX theaters, since Marvel barely marketed this series, but still had it in IMAX. So it's like, did you want people to watch it or not? But maybe it had to do with the fact that it was originally supposed to be a movie. Just my guess. But if you really wanted to make this show seem like it was gonna be a movie, then why didn't you just fucking go through with the movie? But it seems like a weird decision to put it in IMAX theaters, because now this became a box office flop, along with a flop in the ratings. Oh shit. I haven't gotten there yet, have I? So the premiere in IMAX theaters flopped hard, but over the next few months, the season debuted on ABC with 8 episodes releasing once a week. However, viewership almost instantly dropped, and those who did watch were pretty much all in agreement that the series was not good at all. Inhumans was pretty much universally hated. It only has an 11% critic rating on Rotten Tomatoes, and last time I checked, it doesn't even have an audience rating. Variety's article where they reviewed the show is titled, "The show is somehow worse than Iron Fist." And whether or not you like Iron Fist or not is up to you. I know the show is pretty divisive. All you gotta know here is that the critics did not like Iron Fist at all, so that says a lot. IndieWire called the show the worst thing Marvel has done in decades. And USA Today called the show inhumanely bad. Ouch. In May of 2018, not even a full year after the show premiered, maybe not even like half a year, like a little over half a year is what I mean, Inhumans was officially canceled after just one 8-episode long season, making Inhumans Marvel's biggest flop, at least within the past decade. It's really uncommon that we get a real blunder from Marvel Studios and Kevin Feige in this MCU era, but that happened here. Inhumans is the rare occasion where an MCU movie is announced but never came to fruition. Other examples of MCU movies announced but never to be include of The Incredible Hulk 2, and also a War Machine movie and a Nick Fury movie. But they were all simply just planned and never really announced as a part of a schedule and phase of Marvel movies. Inhumans was canceled. And although something did actually come from this, the canceled movie, I think it's better that we didn't get that. The most disappointing thing here, though, is that the Inhumans are actually very interesting characters in the comics, and I feel like a movie would have actually been very interesting. Sure, they're not household names like Iron Man or Thor, but let's be honest, Iron Man and Thor were not household names before they were stars of MCU movies, and look at this one phase of MCU movies as well. You got characters like Black Panther, Doctor Strange, Captain Marvel, all making a name for themselves in the MCU, and they weren't really household names before this. The same could have happened with Inhumans if this didn't happen. And this started a downward spiral for Marvel Television as well, because they finished up, the Runaways, they finished up Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. They canceled Cloak and Dagger only after a year of existing. I doubt you even remembered Cloak and Dagger, and then one by one canceled every single Netflix show. However, there's some light now. With Disney Plus now existing, Kevin Feige and Marvel Studios have now started to look more into series, and I've already had Loki, Falcon and the Winter Soldier, and WandaVision all do really good streaming numbers on Disney Plus. So people are watching these, and they are very much, involved in the MCU. They have a lot to do with the movies, and they've all been very well received as well. Not only that, that's not even all for the MCU shows. We have more shows like one about Hawkeye, and then we get to have new characters introduced like She-Hulk, Moon Knight, Miss Marvel, which again, putting these characters on the map. Oh, and Inhumans is also on Disney Plus. I thought that was kind of funny to share here. One thing I can say about Inhumans, though, is that it shows a good thing. This was a flop, but it's rare that this happens. It is very rare we get this kind of fuck up from Marvel Studios and Kevin Feige. To announce a film and then never have it come out, only to have it come out as a TV series that was dog shit, it just seems a lot worse than it really is, just because this doesn't happen as often. The MCU's major missteps are made way more apparent when they're few and far between, if you know what I mean. That's sort of just how it works. Anyways, that was this episode of The In-Depth Detective. I am The In-Depth Detective, signing out. What did you guys think of this new overhaul? I'm still not done yet. We need more cases to crack. And I also need to work on this cosplay a little bit. But we'll be back next month with another episode. Cracking another case. See ya.